Hey, what's up? My name is Caio Rest, and I've been building a brand on X Twitter, and I was able to monetize it with 300 followers. And I'm here to share the process of how I do it to monetize early and how you can copy that same process. So, to not waste more of your time, let's go straight out to the video. Last year, I was building on X and I made a big change. And after 30 days, I was able to make my first box on X as a personal brand, and I was able to skyrocket my personal brand, getting a lot of impressions and likes and replies. And in this video, I'm going to go through the steps that I went, through the 3 steps roadmaps that I did, and everything detailed, so it can be a fast Formula One car. Yeah, making these results. I like to use the Formula car as an example into this video. So, like, I'm gonna use some examples being based on Formula cars or Formula One, and yeah, you can see on the sides a bit of my paycheck on PayPal, like this screenshot. And I hope that this video is gonna help you go to zero to your first monetization box on X Twitter. So let's dive deep into the video. First of all, I want to talk about the personal brand cheat code. So this is my profile, and although you might not see it right now, it has something very, very special that once I fix it, my brand starts to skyrocket. And when it's about personal brands, I I realized that most personal brand, inclusive mine, I was doing this huge mistake in the past, but they try to make money with shallow stuff like clarity, direction, self improvement, and that won't work. When I started creating content, I started creating content with the influence of other creators and Hamza and all of these guys. And I went into X Twitter and I was trying to apply the same stuff. The thing is, I tried to create content with self improvement and shallow stuff like that. And the problem is that isn't monetizable because that isn't very clear. You can't monetize people on how to have aka direction in life or clarity or self improvement stuff because it's not measurable. You cannot create a good copy, you cannot create a good way into getting people into buying your stuff with a great vision or with a great example framework or stuff because it's a bit shallow. So if you were starting your personal brand, the math is simple: skill equals money. And that's how I was able to monetize my personal brand with a profile like this. You see, I monetize with 300 followers. I just say 400 followers because I remember it as 400 followers and I always make that mistakes. But I monetize my brand with 300 followers. And besides, before me changing my niche, I had a profile that it was about self improvement. And you can see here, I had the level up on my banner, and I had the level up because it was about self improvement stuff. And this is the personal brand cheat code that I want you to have in mind, that if you want to create your stuff online and monetize it, you need to have something to sell, something tangible. You cannot sell things that are not tangible or things that cannot be measurable, like direction or results that you can track. If you cannot track it, you're simply going to waste your time. And there are my results, my payments and stuff. And this is how I started to skyrocket my brand and how I made my first bucks on X. So I had 398 followers and I already make money. And I know a lot of personal brands that has more followers than me right now on X, but they haven't made a single dollar. They're trying to sell shallow promises, trying to follow shallow tactics, and trying to follow shallow stuff. And I didn't need to do that. And I think a personal brand is based on one good skill. And to me, it's like having the fastest car on F1. Like if you have the fastest car on F1, you know that your win is almost guaranteed because you will need another team to level up. And you can see here I give example of a 2025 McLaren. And as you can see, McLaren is the fastest car this year, so I'm using a McLaren this year as an example. But if you don't have this fastest car, you will most likely lose. And the great thing about X Twitter is that you don't need to hustle 24/7. You don't need thousands of DMs. You don't need complicated tactics. All you need is a first car and that we can say it's the same as your skill. And you need to be a great driver. And that's the other thing that you need, high leverage systems. If you don't have high leverage systems, you're just going to walk in circles, and you're just going to create content in circles and try to refine what works and not what works. And then you'll get lost in the X bubble or in the content creation bubble, and that's not what you want. So therefore, you know, you make the first lap, you know the track, and the rest becomes easy. So all you need is that have a good skill. You need to become a great driver, and then the rest will become easy. If you master these two foundations on your content creation on X and to get your clients, then the rest will become easy. So that's basically a resume of what I did, and this is the first thing that you need to have in mind. If you don't have a great skill, find a way to learn a great skill. And the best thing about online content creation is that you can document your journey while you learn the skill so you can start. But if you are documenting your journey, you shouldn't try to monetize at the same time if you're not very, very, very good at skill and if you don't have zero testimonials about it. And we will go through more steps into this right now. So I'm going to break down the three steps that I followed to monetize my brand at 300, 400 followers with zero ad spent. And it's based on a clear offer in my inbound systems and conversion machine. And I'll walk you through each steps right now. So I'm going to break down every single step and how you can do it. And if you follow exactly what I tell you here, you're gonna see some impressive results on X. So here's my first offer, and here's the first step. My first offer was not one of the best, but this is the offer that generated money when I was starting out. And the thing is, it worked because my offer had three solid points. Number one, it was solving a problem for beginners. Number two, had solid results. And I forgot to add, had clarity. This offer was not a vain offer, but it has clarity on what I was doing. This is not the full offer, by the way. I won't show the full offer here, but it had a deep down, a deep dive. So if someone was reading it, it had a full clarity on what I was doing. And three, I wasn't trying to help everybody. I was just trying to help everyone and everybody on X. I was just trying to help a specific kind of people. And these people were beginners. And these people are people that want to make their first dollars on X without massive followers or engaging all day. Because if you know about X, you know that people need to engage a lot these days. And yeah, you will have to engage, but you don't have to engage all day. You will follow proven systems, or you will follow proven strategies that you can engage without spending all your day. And this is what I focus on. I invested my money into some mentorships, into some stuff, and I decided to just help people with what I was doing and with what I was struggling with. And this offer worked the most because it was simple. You don't need to create a complicated offer. You don't need to create an offer so big and with so many points and blah 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 blah. All you need is one clear offer. That's all you need. One clear offer. If you have one clear offer, then you can sell to everyone. And like I said in the first step, like avoid shallow stuff like self-improvement and blah blah blah, direction and things that you cannot measure, because first of all, there is no clarity, there is no solid results, because you cannot solve the same self-improvement solutions to everyone, because you cannot control their life. You don't know what happens in their life. You don't know what their life is going through and how you can fix that, because you are not a life coach. You have not mastered life, I believe. And you cannot solve a specific problem for everybody when it's the situation. Everybody got their own, like, their own version of their specific situation when it's about self-improvement. It can be the same problem, but everyone has their own problem, because somebody might say, oh, it's my girlfriend, it's my mom, it's blah 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 blah, but it's related to a problem that you are trying to solve it. So have in mind that you need a clear offer, and the clearer the better. Don't get lost in that. And the second thing is inbound systems. This is the best part that I like about creating content. and it's creating targeted content. I focus on creating content for my specific audience. My audience was beginner, people that are starting on X and were in the same situation and in the same steps as me. So I focus the most on this kind of content. And this content works the best because I only attracted people that were struggling with that specific situation or were in that bubble. And if you are creating content, you don't need to make niche content. That's not what I'm trying to mean here. But you need to mean targeted content. You need to know who is your specific and who is the avatar that you're trying to attract. And you need to create content around that, what he does behind school, what are his problems. You can target even self improvement stuff that your target audience is struggling with. You don't need to focus only on specific technical content. You can start making personal content that talks directly to your target audience. And that's the beauty of it, of these inbound systems, is that it allows you to get people in autopilot to your content. It makes it works automatically by itself. It brings people to your page, to your content, and it brings the right quality of people. And then the second thing, you add CTAs, and then you add hand raisers, and they're going to DM you, and they're going to join your email newsletter, and then you can convert them in your newsletter, and you can convert them in your DMs, and the trust will be yours. So make sure that you are creating targeted content, and you are solving people's problems, and you are truly truly human. And yeah, the second thing that I did was DMing every people that engaged with my content or my products. So this is the thing that will allow you to make the most sales if you do this correctly, because the people that engage with your content are already warm. They already know what you're capable. You don't need to do cold DMs, because when you do cold DMs, the person doesn't know you, the person doesn't relate to your content, the person doesn't relate to your results or your stories or nothing like that. And it gets hard to sell because you're trying to convince convince, not really really convince, but it's different from warm DMs that you don't need to convince the person, because the person already knows your stuff, already knows your products. And here's an example of my chat that I just went to check up somebody that engaged with my products, and this guy's ended up being my client after this chat. But I just went to him and asked how is he doing, and I asked if he received the book and if he liked it. And yeah, he liked the book, he liked the value that I gave him, and he was very much interested in my products. And this is not the only way that you can do it. If people are commenting in your post in your posts, you can DM them, you can talk with them, and then you can deepen your conversation from them from that point. Because that is the best way to get clients, like really really good clients that are really good to work with, because they know what you can do, they know your content, they know yourself, and they relate to it. And yeah, this is the best part of the system to get clients. And number three, you will convert in columns or document. After you master the step one and step two, you'll need to convert these clients. You can either get them into a call, or you can either get them, send them a Google Doc, and boom, you have the sale. And this client in particular, since I already knew that he was engaging with my content, he was engaging with the stuff, my products, my free products, lead magnets and stuff, I knew that I could just send him the Google Doc because he was already very, very warm. And I knew that a call will just along the process, we just make the process longer and unnecessary. But most part of the times, you will have to push your client into a call, because if you see that the client is not very, very, very warm, you need to push him to a call because he has a lot of doubts in his head that you need to solve. And you get him into a call, you talk with him, you ask him a lot of questions, and he will respond. And then what you're gonna do basically is answer his questions and framing your product as the solution as it. That is the secret of calls. And boom, you already made your first sale. That is the system. So let's talk about the conversion machine, the way of putting this in autopilot and making the best of it. First of all, you get leads through your content. You get leads through your content, and then you qualify them. Here, you will qualify your leads and stuff, and then you sell. Then, here in the step three, you sell. This is the conversion machine. This is how you make the process on autopilot and how you make your process of getting your first, second, third, fourth client come into your brand and make money. And the hard part is getting used to this. It's making this on autopilot. It's building the reps to make this possible. But once you make it possible, once you get used to it, everything compounds, everything starts to be on autopilot, everything starts to be more easy. And I think that guarding on calls at the first times might be hard. In your first call, in your second call, in your third, maybe in your 10th call, you will fail. But it's a matter of reps. You need to record your screen. You need to analyze what you're doing on the call, what you're asking, if it's the price, if it's that and that and that, and you need to improve in the next calls. It's a repetitive process that is more dependent on reps to learn that in order to just get into a call and follow a script. So if you are starting out and you are getting on a calls and you see that you're not making very much sales, you need to analyze your systems on getting your calls, your script, and then you will need to fix that step by step. And that is the process of it. It's very simple. It's very simple. I do think that nothing of it that I told you it's very complicated. It looks very simple, but it takes a lot of hard work and it's not easy. Simple, it's not easy. And then third, I just wanna leave with you to end this video a golden tip that is focus on long-term sustainability. If you're starting out, you might be eluded by, yeah, you need to do more reps, you need to do more volume, you need to do more of that stuff. But the thing is, volume is good to a certain period of time. Like if you are if you're doing volume, if you're doing volume and you cannot be consistent with it, it doesn't matter how much volume you can do, but if you can do the same volume for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, then it doesn't matter. That volume means nothing. You need to be able to do volume for like 3 to 6 to 12 months on the same way you do in the first month, because that's sustainability. That's how you will win this game. So focus on doing uh, as much as you can and focus on doing things that you can maintain for a longer period of time. And that's what makes a difference for your brand. And that's what I'm doing right now, and that's what I'm focusing right now. And therefore, these are the steps that I use and follow to monetize my brand, and I used to follow to monetize my brand and help other people monetize. And if you want to know more about it, if you want to know more about the systems, I talk a lot more of them in my email. And second, if you want to know more about X Twitter and ghostwriting, this journey of creating a personal brand through writing and then expanding, you can see more of my content on X Twitter. Everything will be in the link in the description, so you can check them. And we'll see each other into the next video. Peace out.